Next up, Team 2, also from ArtCenter, also with instructor leads Hydran Mumper-Drum and Charlie Hodges, with students Antonin Prochorov and Kiki Wren. Their project is titled Cleansing in Emergencies. It's something you likely don't think much about until you're in that situation. LA has had its share of natural disasters, of course, which the team is using to frame a project focused on sanitation and water use. Team 2, over to you. Tell us more. We have 15 minutes.
All right, wonderful. Hello, everyone. This is Kiki Ren.
And I'm Antonin Prokhorov.
We're from ArtCenter College of Design, and today we want to introduce you our project, Emergency Water Chest. So Emergency Water Chest is a multi-purpose kit with all you need. Have you ever experienced an earthquake? Did you know Southern California have about 10,000 earthquakes every year? Although most are small, that they aren't felt. In the early morning of January 17 in 1994, magnitude 6.7 earthquake struck Southern California.
The epicenter of the 1994 Northridge earthquake was the Los Angeles neighborhood of Reseda, a densely populated area of highways, businesses, and residential properties. For nearly 20 seconds, the ground swayed violently, causing widespread panic as buildings and roadways crumbled under this seismic force, leaving 57 people dead and nearly 9,000 others injured, and caused damage amounting to over $20 billion.
A Santa Monica apartment building is left destroyed by this Northridge earthquake. The quake destroyed or severely damaged thousands of single-family home, apartment, and mobile homes, displacing about 22,000 people from their homes and causing residential damage estimated at more than $20 billion.
An earthquake is never too far from us. The U.S. Geological Survey reports there is a 72 probability that the Southern California has a 60% chance of experiencing an earthquake, measuring magnitude from 6.7 to 7.8 in the next 30 years. Southern San Andreas Fault will cause a magnitude 7.8 quake, 1,800 deaths, 50,000 injuries, 200 billion in damages, and displaced 250,000 people. It is crucial to acknowledge that disasters can happen anytime, and we must be prepared for the unexpected. A bulldozer tears down a section of Santa Monica Freeway. The collapse during the Northridge earthquake. The earthquake caused extensive damage to the transportation infrastructure in central Los Angeles by destroying 2 freeway bridges. The destruction of these bridges has disrupted the key east to west traffic corridors, making it impossible for residents to move around. The quake also caused several ground failures in the region, which damages buildings, foundations, and vital infrastructure, such as water, gas, electrical transmissions facilities.
So emergency personnel carries these emergency workers who are rescued from a scaffolded garage at Northridge Mill on January 17. So after an earthquake, rescue teams are often short-staffed due to this high workload of disaster relief. It is highly probable that we will be on our own without any assistance. So that's our main insights from our research. So just like them, Grace and her son were outside her tent in the camp installed by the National Guard in Canoga Park. They have been staying in this temporary shelter for 2 days since their residents lost power and water and become unsafe for them to live. Grace needs to take care of herself and also her son. Clean water, food, and daily necessities are, all over the place, everywhere on the ground, causing disorder. And she feels very much pessimistic and negative about, the collecting messes in front of her. So Grace and her son need an organized system to distribute clean water for various needs and provide essential supplies to prepare for the upcoming dates.
Residents fill containers with fresh water on January 18th to add one of the many water lines set up in the area to assist victims of the Northridge earthquake. Local authorities warned residents not to drink tap water after the quake broke many water mains in the area. And so you can see in this picture that many different ways of carrying and transporting water. Everyone brings their own similar container. As well as now emergency water chest. This is what we're proposing, a multi-purpose kit with everything you need, from first aid products to an all-in-one wash to personal hygiene products. It manages your water usage and distributes clean water for the body, food, and clothes washing. So we created and found like a benchmark to base our product. So first thing we found was a portable compact clothes washer for small loads. And we both took apart this washer and then found all multiple different parts. And this is sort of what we're trying to aim to see what is the LCA of it, the life cycle assessment. And you see that there are actually many opportunities from this, especially that there's a heavy use of circuitry and electronics and plastics and screws and other necessary items, especially like electricity, which in an earthquake scenario might not be as easy to come by. And so here is actually all the pieces of this portable compact washer set out, and you can just see the amount of parts involved in pieces.
So after did our research on the benchmark and taking them apart, understand the components, we want to design something different. So here are our top selected initial ideas that we want to introduce to you. So the first is clean toolbox workstation. So we kind of want to create this kind of like workstation for people in an emergency that they can easy to grab and go, when emergency happen or after the emergency, their, home is, no water, no power. So they can use this product to, be able to hygiene themselves and get what they need, to wash themselves, things like that. So the strategy for this design is essential hygiene kit with all you need. So we are thinking about create this kind of container that had a handle, so it's easier for people to grab, and portability wise, to carry that to places, especially shelter. And also we decided to add this kind of like emergency kit drawer on the side of the container, so it contains all these emergency product like Band-Aid, first aid kit, washing products, all-in-one wash, things like that. So we really want to provide this all-in-one kind of workstation for people to dealing with their water management when emergency happens or after emergency. And then the next, design concept we are thinking is, have this inverted, triangle water elevator. So this design is inspired by, the stomach of cow. So we know that the cow have four different stomachs, and each of them are, taking care of digesting different, food and fibers. So we are thinking about designing this kind of, leveling container so that you can, clean your clothes with a certain texture, like a washboard texture, or you can clean your food with like a more brush texture. So different level have different purpose to clean different things. So this is the second our design concept. And the next one is more like from an accessory standpoint. So since we're designing this water chest, we're thinking about, how about flip that over and then it can turn it into a chair. So during emergencies, people can just sit on the top and then can resting. So adding some additional function, for different needs as accessories. So from that point, we did also a survey that people around us to had like a quick survey of, what do you wash first, second, and last. So the chart shows that people tend to wash their body first and their food and also their clothes at the end. So that leads to our finalized design direction, which is our emergency water chest, multiple function kit with all you need. So we kind of just combining the top three design direction we introduced and then kind of creating this like everything you need chest for people to be able to, clean their body, their food, their clothes, as well as get the essential first aid kit or product that they need. So we're think about having the level 1 and 2 and 3. So the top level will be what you wash first, which is your body, your hand. User can wash their hand on the top floor, and then the second one they can clean their food, and then the last one is that more like washing board. They can clean their clothes. And then with the drawer, we are think about we can include like toothbrush kits or like cleaning wipe, and also have this all-in-one sort of soap that you can, by dropping different drops, you can clean, yourself, your food, and your clothes. So things like that. And also, user could sit on it when it's not in use. So that's our design direction.
And so going in, we sort of kind of made a rough kind of mock-up to kind of organize it. And one thing we've kind of first sort of changed in our direction is to actually place the shelving system underneath the basin while the water collects. So that'll be easier to access, and the water can all just come into one kind of a squircle shaped bucket. And here's kind of like the architecture, the bones of this.
So after we had this whole study of prototyping and understand proportion, dimension, we turn it into a more kind of a 3D model. So more defining, this product. So basically, this will be our emergency water chest. So for the design, as you can see, the mean geometric is, very like, square, like a squircle kind of shape, and have, a certain height so that we can fit, the leveling inside. And on the top of it, we are thinking about adding this foldable seating cushion that, you can fold it into 2 pieces. So we are more think about, designing a coexist with, our lives in everyday life. So rather than, something special. So maybe it can be, a little stool that you can change your shoes daily when the emergency not happen. But when emergency hits, then you can, bring that and turn it into an emergency kit. So kind of just want to fit into a daily furniture. And then the bottom, we are thinking about actually transferring the drawer from the side as original design to the bottom. So it creates more space for you to wash and move your arm around. That's the takeaway we learned after the prototype testing. And then, so if you want to use this water chest, you want to wash something, then you can you remove this cushion, and then you can starting to use the water chest, wash yourself or your product. So that's kind of the drawer layouts that we're thinking about. So you might ask, well, then where I can store the cushion. So you fold it in half, and there is where you store the cushion. So you can store that inside the drawer. And on another side, we are thinking about, creating 3 different sections, A, B, C. So for the emergency kit. So with section A, we're planning to have those medicine, bandage, like things for you to, get aid as soon as possible. If you're bleeding, you get a cut, you can immediately find, help. And then the B part is all-in-one washer. So as we mentioned, we're thinking about including this all-in-one washer that by dropping different amounts, you can clean different things like food or clothes. And lastly, we're thinking about including personal hygiene product like, toothbrush or anything, clean yourself or soap, things like that. So that's kind of the overall layouts for our water chest, the drawer.
And so this is level 1 with the bumps texture, and this is for when you're washing your body and yourself in your hands. And this is like the highest level. And continuing down, there's a more of like like a brush surface, where the more textured for like food washing, as the water keeps collecting downwards. And then the last one is like this sort of a washboard where you can actually scrub your clothes where all the water is collected right on the bottom of it now. And now you can scrape and use maybe more some of the laundry soap and all in one soap. And especially we've even done some tests, and it's nothing really that different.
Yeah, so this is our emergency water chest, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Antonin and Kiki. I was not expecting you to introduce the concept of a cow's multiple stomachs into understanding the concept. As wonderful. It's the first time anyone's done that within Pando days. But it's really interesting to think about emergencies from the water angle. I've thought about it personally living here in Los Angeles, but wonderful to see a project develop from that perspective. Okay, panel of experts, John and Doug, let's get you all in on the discussion. This time, let's start with Doug.
Well, thank you for that presentation. It was great to see. I personally love these kind of ideas that combine multiple uses and kind of try to explore a problem from several different angles. In this case, hygiene. Being able to use it as an essential hygiene kit is fantastic, and I love the kind of overall shape of it, and a lot of the design elements are very appealing to me. I have a couple questions about, and forgive me if this is the first time I've seen it, so perhaps I wasn't quite understanding all the nuances quite well enough. But logistically, start from a very simple and basic question. Where does the water come from? Does it come, it's not packed in with the essential water kit, right? The water comes from some source that you then pour into it. Am I correct? Or
Yes, because it's usually in a scenario like this, you would have set aside water, but this water it's not like a well, it's something limited. So you're trying to utilize the amount of water you have with you to able to clean yourself, clean your food, and clean your clothes, and especially what is more important in the matter. And I think using just the amount of water you have. So if you have more water, then maybe there's not much of a need for it if you have access to plenty of water. But this is something where someone is coming from an angle of limited amount of water, but they have some water. And how do they allocate it in different ways?
And I noticed you didn't include the idea of potable water, of water that is drinkable. Is that something that you might think about in the total design of this thing? And if that's the case, what would need to be added or happen to do that? Would that be too complicated?
Yeah. So for like drinkable water, we don't really see like a potential that you can just keep using it, right? Like, of course, like the water you wash your hand, you probably don't want to drink it. So we don't really see the opportunities of how to filter leveling down the water quality, because the water you wash your hand, you can still wash your food or your clothes, but none of them are able to drink anymore because you drop the soap inside.
And from the standpoint of how the water, I love the level idea. I mean and it makes a lot of sense that you start from the top and you want to clean your body and then go down to lower levels as you get more, as the water gets used a little bit more. In this design, how does the water actually make the commute from one section to the other. That part I wasn't quite clear on. Are there little
It,
spaces
yeah, there would be
in
like
those?
sort of the ways that it would drain outside, but it would first collect in that basin until you tell it to go to the next level, kind of like you activate it to the next level. This is still something we need to ourselves actually do more testing
Nice.
as well as this is kind of like our next step, specifically like more of a making of a more prototype that can hold water and actually tested it out in this way. But the whole idea is that you collect in these kind of leveled basins, but they all start to seep all the way down to the very bottom. It's like a gray water kind of tank system. It just keeps on getting more and more the farther you go, the more dirty, but it's still very much very usable.
Now that implies that you have a limited time in each section, right? I mean, the water you're depending on the water itself to kind of decide, and gravity itself to kind of decide how long you work with the water. Do you think there might be a way that a more controlled method of letting the water go from one section to another might allow, for instance, if you had a family of 5 who all need to wash their hands or something like that, you may not want to limit the amount of time they have with the water, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's very much a possibility, especially with like sort of gaskets and sealants where we can sort of contain it, especially for like if there's a multiple family household. And the idea too is, especially too, is that on the very bottom is like where your clothes is, because our benchmark was a washer machine, as sort of a portable one, and we found that in the end it's just basically collecting, and basically all the water goes to the bottom anyway, and you want to try to drench your clothes as much and with the soap and agitate it. And I think at the very bottom, that's where it all sort of levels out. But yeah, I think there's a sort of necessary for like a controlled seepage or controlled movement of the water.
Let's bring John in here for a second. And John, do you think this is the kind of thing you want?
I like the presentation. I especially like the stop motion where you disassembled the other washing machine. That was interesting. I can't quite fathom how it would work. So you've got those various surfaces, those nubs. I'm not sure how you would use the smooth bump for skin. Like, it's hard for me to understand actually, not conceptually, but how this would actually work. The cleansing noodle for food. Like, how would that work? And Doug talked about how does the water migrate down, in the stack. So I have questions around those things. Just the practical matters of how it actually works. So I would love to see the next step, where you actually have some sort of working prototype and you show the process of adding the water and how you wash your hands in there. And do you really want to cleanse your food with the gray water from washing? I guess it's better than nothing, but seems a little bit weird to me.
Yeah, and I think that's something we are thinking about as well. It's not just food, though. We're thinking about other things we might have around, and that's like the middle layer is more of like objects, and like on the bottom is more of a sort of the clothes. So on the top is more of like a bumps, where we're looking at it more like a gentle kind of a look to it, as well as like kind of a feel to your touch. compared to like the more middle part is like this sort of rougher, where it can actually take all the grime off of objects.
Mm-hmm. And for like the surface texture, so we are still defining like the surface for food and for skin, but this whole idea is more inspired by this washboard. So we start with the washboard. We see like the older way that people clean their clothes is with this like crisp texture that could more help and create more surface. So we kind of more inspired by that direction to kind of just starting to see opportunities to wash different type of things like food or even yourself. But we are still kind of defining the what is the most efficient way the surface should be to clean yourself.
I also like how you've looked at, the handle, and could that be something else? Or, when you sit on it, you have shoe changing. I like that you're looking at like all the aspects of this. How could it be the most functional kind of object in that situation?
Doug, you want to get back in on the conversation here?
Oh yeah, I had one additional question, which was, I mean, from assuming an emergency like this, a situation you can end up, 2, 3 days, possibly more, as you mentioned in your presentation. So, have you given thought to how you clean the hygiene kit? Because after a while, I think that would be a very essential kind of uh, part of the process that you would need to build into this.
Yeah, we thought about especially like a damp washcloth or a washcloth with water. Specifically, there are areas on our body that might get more dirty than others, and this is sort of like, again, like a leveling of from the dust or from debris from an earthquake or from some type of disaster. Uh, Trying to find those, like we are trying to identify the different uh, parts of our body that quite need wash and cleansing. And especially that's why we have been combined with like a first aid kit as well, because there might be some cuts or anything like that that needs to be attended to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually meant how do you clean the kit itself?
Clean the kit.
Yes.
Uh, there is a plug on the bottom. That's something we drainage, but we haven't
Yeah, so the idea for the emergency kit, we definitely wish that user could like use it longer the better. But like if there is like the level that they really make this very dirty or things like that, well, we expecting users to find at least water resources to wash it or like to brush wash the kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they still have to collect separate water to be able to wash it if it's very dirty after 2 day or 3 day.
Thank you.
So let me ask what's always my favorite question with this kind of thing. What are next steps for you? Is this something that you would like to stay with and like to push it through to a next step? And if so, what do you think that might be?
Definitely the practical factors for this design, as we mentioned that like kind of we really want to actually build work-like prototype so it's waterproof, and then we can be more in this scenario that we are using this design to clean ourselves, clean our hand, and then to really see like this works like workflow, so that we can define something might not working, and then we will make design changes based on the practice that we do with a work like prototype.
Well, I'll be interested to see it. Thank you both. Okay, it's time to wrap things up. Today you've seen 2 Pando Days 23 season projects. We have 14 more to go. Next week, we have a full week of presentations, beginning with Citrus College at 10 o'clock on Monday morning with a project that promises a community-based energy solution that will produce free self-sustaining power for each home where it is installed. And if that sounds like over-promising, in fact, I think the ones that are developing that, they really have some pretty cool and interesting ideas about how to make that work. So we'd love to have you with us to listen in. Thank you so much to our expert panel, Doug Chang and John Bielenberg. Many thanks to the participating Pando Days colleges and universities, ArtCenter today, but to others as well who have dedicated full courses, studios, or labs over the fall term to help LA County meet its sustainability goals. And to the students for helping to build a more habitable future. Remember that all Pando Days project presentations and deliverables are being posted to the Pando Days website, where you can read in detail what the projects are about and the next steps that they will be taking. Of course, Pando Days would not be possible without the work of so many people on the team. See all their names on the website. Pando Days was conceived in collaboration with LA's Chief Sustainability Officer Task Force and is in partnership with LA County's Chief Sustainability Office. The program is made possible in part by the support of these sponsors and by generous individual contributions from across the Southland. Thank you for joining and enjoy the rest of your day.